National Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. We will get back to the rally in just a minute. We want to get some initial reaction. Fox News contributor. He's got his hat on. He's made millions from his hat. Leo 2.0 Terrell.
Not true. Not true.
Welcome, all of you. Karoline, let's get your reaction to this. The Univision denies the story, by the way, about the teleprompter, just for the record. But on the issue of immigration, I thought that video that President Trump played was really powerful. And, you know, we do have gang members here. We've had dozens of Americans murdered. We've had dozens raped. We know the fentanyl crisis. We know the opioid crisis. We also know a lot of other things that have happened in this country. We have gang members in this country. We have people from 180 countries, including Iran and Syria and Egypt and Afghanistan and Venezuela, as the president pointed out, and tens of thousands from China and Russia. And I doubt they're all coming here because they want a better life for themselves and their family. Between the economy, which the president also discussed, and immigration and law and order, you're talking about three of the biggest issues that I think will impact this country come Election Day.
Yeah, that's right, Sean. And you just heard President Trump in Nevada capping off a week that he won. He won the week. He traveled from Nevada, where he is tonight, to Aurora, Colorado today to highlight the impact and the consequences of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's wide-open border invasion. He was in Pennsylvania earlier in the week. He was in Detroit, Michigan yesterday, announcing his plan to revitalize the American auto industry, his Build It in America plan. He barnstormed the country, offering real solutions to the problems that Kamala Harris's terrible policies and incompetence have created. And what did Kamala Harris do this week? Well, she hid from the American people who are suffering in the wake of Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene. She botched her 60 Minutes interview. It was a complete train wreck. And she said the quiet part out loud on The View, of all places, with the very liberal ladies there who were astonished by her answer when they asked, what would you do differently over the past 4 years? And Kamala Harris answered saying, not a thing. There is not a thing she would change from the past 4 years. Not the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan that left 13 service members dead. Not the inflation crisis that's robbing American families of their paycheck every single week. Not the border crisis that has left innocent American women raped and left for dead by heinous monsters who shouldn't be in this country in the first place. Kamala Harris wouldn't change a thing. So the American people found out the truth this week. If you want more crime, chaos, and inflation, vote for Kamala Harris. But if you want safety and law and order and real affordability in this country, again, there's only one man on the ballot. He's speaking in Nevada tonight to a fired-up crowd, and it's Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, we're going to get back to it in a second. I just want to get some commentary. Joe Concha, one thing that has frustrated me, and you analyze the media better than anybody, is the fact that they don't vet her. They don't talk about the murder, the rape, the violent crime, the cost, the total number, 12+ million under her watch as borders are, illegal immigrants, the free housing, health care, food, education, sex change surgery, path to citizenship, legal driver's licenses, college education from Tim Walz if you go to Minnesota. They don't talk about any of that. And you know, it's such a disservice to the American people. They're not going to describe the Green New Deal. They're not going to describe, you know, why she co-sponsored it, or eliminating the filibuster, or, you know, government health care for all, no private health insurance. There's so much on the table that doesn't come out.
31 flavors of flip-flops, Sean, right? I mean, that's what we have here. I mean, there's so many things to analyze, so many things to ask her about in terms of this was your position then when you ran for president in 2019, when you couldn't even get to the California primary because Democratic voters rejected you. Now, why did you change all these positions and all the things you just said, right? So let's go through the Kamala Harris 2024 timeline, Sean. Kamala Harris didn't earn one single vote when she ran in 2020, which was really 2019. Again, she didn't get to 2020. And when she was gift-wrapped the 2024 nomination, again, not one vote. And then from there, she didn't need to say a thing outside of a teleprompter for 2 months. It was Brat Summer. It was the August of Joy. She then was handed a rigged debate on ABC. 11 fact checks and follow-ups for Donald Trump, 0 fact checks and follow-ups for Kamala Harris. But then not long after, it's DEFCON 1 in the Democratic Party. Suddenly, wow, she's not getting in the polls. How could that be possible? Well, it's possible because She has an authenticity problem. She simply is not likable. She's not good at this. And to your monologue earlier, Sean, she is losing at an alarming rate. Black voters, Hispanic voters, Jewish voters, Catholic voters, but most importantly, union voters, Teamsters, steel workers, auto workers, restaurant, service workers. That's a big deal in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada. If the election were held today, Donald Trump wins in an electoral landslide because Kamala Harris is arguably the worst candidate in presidential election history. Fake, phony, no authenticity, all icing, no cake when it comes to actual substance. And it must be hard to be brilliant when there's no way to prove it, Sean. But think of it this way. In the Real Clear Politics average right now, Trump is leading in 6 of 7 swing states. That's the average, not one poll, the average of all polls. He'll likely make it 7 of 7 when he overtakes Wisconsin very soon. So here's how this election is going to work. If Kamala Harris is the focus, like she has been during this media blitz during this week, when she's oftentimes a human Chernobyl, she loses. The polling goes south because she is not authentic and her answers are substance-free. It's all frosting and no cake. So the Trump campaign knows this. They should show some discipline, let Kamala be the focus, sink herself simply by speaking, and let Donald Trump do his rallies, do a town hall on Fox News like he's going to do. No more debates. That's it. That's the way this election is going to be decided. Let Kamala Harris be the referendum.
We're going to go back to President Trump, but first I want to get your comments, your observations about this and about the state of the campaign with 25 days to go.
Well, the state of the campaign is basically it's Trump momentum, and I agree with what my two colleagues have said. It's going to be a Trump victory. But here's the point. They threw out their best weapon. Kamala Harris threw out her best weapon yesterday. His name is Barack Obama. He's a dinosaur. He basically attacked black men because they don't want to vote for Kamala Harris based on skin color. They want to vote for a candidate who believes in secure border, who believes in eliminating sanctuary cities, who believe in national security and an improved economy. So black Americans, Hispanic Americans are going to vote for Donald Trump. The myth about the Democrats is that they expect people to vote for them regardless. Trump has basically expanded the map and has made the Republican Party, the Trump Party, a working class party. And the Democrats and Kamala has abandoned the average American citizen. One last point. On October 7th, when we were celebrating the horrific anniversary of the attack on Israel, guess what Kamala Harris was doing? A photo shoot which was insulting to the Jewish American community, which she has also abandoned.
All right, let's go back to Donald Trump. He's in Reno, Nevada tonight, and listen in. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.